Small note before the video begins, this is just an opinion-based video. Feel free to disagree if you like, that's totally fine. Don't take everything as fact. Let's be civilized. Alright, let's begin. Alright, look. I know some people are going to click this video based on a thumbnail and immediately want to start an argument. Let's just get out of the way. If you enjoy other swords, like Lament, and you prefer Lament over Bequest, that's totally fine. That is totally fine. Comes down to opinion, preference, situation, blah blah blah. Nobody's wrong. This is just my opinions and my thoughts, and why I think Bequest is better for specifically the general public and the situation of Crota. Now, what do I mean specifically? In Crota, he takes more damage from swords, and swords are pretty damn good and effective against them in general, and there are a couple of swords that are better than the rest, and there's just a huge argument on Twitter and Reddit and, I don't know, 4chan, maybe, I don't go on 4chan, but people are arguing, is Bequest better? Is Lament better? Is Fallen Guillotine better? How good is Goat-Tusk? Etc. And I'm just gonna put in my 2 cents, since people just want to argue about this for no reason, so I might as well cash in, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on. Let's just get to the Lament first, since that's the #1 counterpoint to anybody talking about Bequest anyway. So Lament is an exotic sword. It has 78 impact. It has the capability to break barrier shields. We don't really care about that, though. And has the healing factor to it when revving up your attacks. You also gain stacks when dealing damage with revved attacks, and additional stacks increase the damage and damage resistance of heavy attacks, but we don't care about that part either. So Lament, the most famous or most used combo for it is the light, light, heavy, light, light attack. That's the most optimal strat for Lament. And obviously, against Crota, particularly in day 1, people use this to do easy damage while also getting some healing out of it in the event that he slammed your well and destroyed it, which was happening very commonly in contest mode. The thing with Lament is, outside of contest mode, which it was very helpful with, I'm not taking anything away from that, is the general public is not going to perform these combos at 100% consistency and a success rate, and most people probably won't even care to do a combo at all. Now, I'm sure, obviously, people at the top end who know the combo and have done it all the time will be like, it's pretty easy, there's nothing to it, blah, blah, blah. And to you, sure, that it could be the case. But for the general public, a lot of people just simply swing Lament endlessly, or they'll go 1 light, 1 heavy, 1 light, 1 heavy, and so on. Just keep in mind that we're talking about the game where people still think that heroic public events are triggered by RNG, the game where people do the Corrupted Strike and have no idea how to use the relic or what it even does. Also, there's the whole thing with Lament's hitbox being complete garbage, which I think is actually a good thing to point out and not just to scoff at. Legitimately, half the time you swing with Lament at a wizard or just any hive enemy in general, you get swung back or swung into outer space or just get thrown through the enemy, and you just waste time getting back to that enemy instead of doing damage just because of the way Lament operates. I don't know about you all, but personally when I use other swords, I don't go through the enemy half the time or get sent flying like I just got force pushed in a Star Wars movie, and Lament just happens to have that problem in it. I don't know what else to say about that. That's a legitimate concern. That's not something to just like make an excuse about. Overall, enough of a rambling, I think Lament is still a good sword. It's very usable, it's viable. If you continue to use it on Crota, that's totally fine. That's up to you. If you prefer Lament, great. If you know how to use it and you use it consistently and you can nail the combos all the time, that's fantastic. More power to you. But I think just for the sake of consistency, dumbing it down, ease of use, making it extremely simple for people, especially people who don't raid a lot, I think there's just better choices out there instead of Lament. So to pivot from Lament to Bequest here, I will talk about other swords here in a second, but this is the main topic. Bequest shares the same impact as Lament, being 78. It is the second highest impact in the game, only to Throne Cleaver and Crown Splitter, but both of those have a swing speed of 2, so a wet noodle could probably out DPS those swords in a long DPS race, so I don't think Bequest or Lament have any problem with beating those. Then, Bequest owns the best damage perk on a sword in the game, that being Surrounded, which is almost a 42% damage increase. Pretty silly, if you ask me. And obviously, it's a legendary sword instead of an exotic. It, of course, also comes with other handy perks, like Jagged Edge, to increase your damage at the cost of ammo, but then you also have Relentless Strikes, where you keep landing light attacks, which is all you'll be doing, just light attacks over and over, and you'll generate sword ammo, so you at least replenish your ammo as you're wailing on Crota non-stop. Then it also has the Origin trait, which I think is a little bit slept on, given in this season we have the monochromatic artifact perk. I'll show that in a second here. But dealing damage regenerates a small amount of ability energy, which in this case would be your grenade. So monochromatic, if you're on a Arc Hunter or an Arc Titan, for example, you just simply throw your grenade and then start wailing with Bequest. You will slowly build up that grenade back to use it later on, maybe in Final Stand, so you're just getting more free damage out of your Bequest just by using your abilities. Same thing goes with using your Thunder Crash or using your Star Eater Scales plus Gathering Storm. You're going to be getting more damage out of Bequest that way too. And yeah, once the season changes and Monochromatic is gone, this perk will matter less, but we're currently in that season, so why would we not talk about it, you know, in terms of when this is the highest peak that Crota is going to be in anyway, where people are doing the raid the most, so it's worth mentioning, I think. Now, I'm sure the comparison will get brought up of Monochromatic on Solar rather than Arc, and just use that with Lament. And yeah, you could, in theory, use that as well. However, on Solar, I feel like the damage difference in using your abilities and Super is a little off-putting. Yeah, you have Well, which is giving the damage buff to everybody for your swords. But outside of that, you have your melee to use, and that's about it. For Titans, you do have Burning Maul to use, but Burning Maul versus Thunder Crash is a wash, I feel like, because the Burning Maul combo, you have to hot swap to get your one hit in, so you're not just standing there for 10 seconds slamming your hammer over and over, which would just waste time for DPS, whereas Thunder Crash is just instant hit and then you're done. And then, obviously, for grenades, in total, you're going to be on healing grenades because you don't want Crota to kill your team, and that's just the obvious pick. For Hunters, it's going to be Blade Barrage versus Arc Gathering Storm, which Gathering Storm with X4 Feast is going to win either way, so I feel like Monochromatic is best used in Arc in this particular boss fight. I also see this notion a lot where people say, yeah, but Surrounded is really hard to set up, and to that, I completely 100% disagree. Crota's AI is simply set to chase you wherever the hell you are. If you're sitting in the very far back of the map, near the Crystal Room, your whole fire team, Crota will literally come to you. He literally runs straight to you. Same thing applies if he's on the opposite side of the map. If he's by the Crystal Room and you're all by a Boomer Tower, he's going to start migrating towards you. You can easily use this AI information to put him where you have two Boomers up in a tower, or some Wizards or Ogres on the ground, whatever it may be. Put him in the middle of the bridge, and then bam, you have Surrounded active. It's very easy, and I don't get the notion of people saying it's extremely hard to set this up when it really isn't. The other thing that's good about Quest, which I mentioned earlier, is you're going to be using only your M1s, or whatever it is on your controller, to do light attacks, and that's it. You only have to press your light attack button over and over and hit Crota until he's dead. Whereas in Lament, like I mentioned earlier, some people just might not want to keep doing the same combo over and over, and maybe you'll screw it up just because you're doing the same repetition over and over with its different buttons, you know? Light, light, heavy, light, 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 heavy, light, 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 heavy, light, light. Eventually, you might just fall out of, you know, the pattern, and then you kind of screw yourself over for some damage, or maybe you just fly through the enemy and you waste time that way. Because it's literally M1, 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 non-stop until Crota's dead, other than maybe throwing your super with like Thunder Crash or Gathering Storm. There really is no messing up with this. You're just pressing your M1 button and not having to remember anything, and, well, how can you possibly screw that up, you know? Enough rambling about Bequest and Lament. Let's talk about the other swords briefly as well. So, Fallen Guillotine is a solid pick for the Crota meta as well, as a lot of uses similar to Bequest, where it can roll similar perks, such as Jagged, Swords Master's Guard, Relentless, and it also has the ability to just spam M1 and not use your M2 at all, and still do great damage and one-phase Crota. Though, the damage perk in question here would be Whirlwind Blade instead of Surrounded, and the practicality of Whirlwind Blade is you don't need to set up the Surrounded strat and make Crota be on a side in particular. He could be just wherever, and then you just build your stacks for Whirlwind Blade, and then you're good to go to just keep spamming your M1s. If you want to get an M2 little spin to win in there, that's totally fine, but overall, you're just spamming your M1 and getting your Whirlwinds up as fast as possible, and then you're good to go to just clap Crota. Now, is it as good as Bequest with Surrounded? No, I don't think so, but is it bad? Absolutely not. For the millionth time, if you prefer to use this to one-phase Crota, then all the power to you. I don't think anybody would care what you really use as long as you're getting the job done. So whatever you're getting the job done with, just keep doing that and keep one-phasing them. I think the one real negative people have against Guillotine, and it's fair, is that it's not as easy to get as the others. Pretty much at this point, it's just a world drop, and you're not guaranteed the perks on it, obviously, so the chances of you getting a perfect guillotine these days is pretty slim to none. If you didn't already have one from back in the day, then you're kind of screwed, and you're pretty much bound and ordered to run one of the other ones because they're just easier to get. Finally, I do want to bring up GUILLOTINE, as I see it being brought up in the conversation here and there, and some people just assume you're using this because it's an arc sword and that's it, and that's not really the whole case. So GUILLOTINE is a hunter-only exclusive sword for people that don't know. It can roll very similarly to Fallen Guillotine, where you can put Jagged, Swords Masters, Relentless Strikes to get ammo back on your swings, which all you're going to be doing is M1s, by the way, and then Whirlwind Blade. It also has the unique, I guess, ability to have a swing speed of 80, or I believe 82 once it's maxed out, and then that's double of BEQUEST in terms of swing speed, so you're going to be getting your swipes off very quickly, and because of that, you're going to be building up your Whirlwind Blade very fast, and then once you're at max stacks, well, there you go, just keep wheeling with your M1, and you're good to go. Again, I don't think it's quite as strong as BEQUEST in the perfect scenario with Surrounded, but it's pretty good and high damage up there. I think it competes with Fallen Guillotine, and if you do it right, or you have enough of them in a fire team, or just GUILLOTINE and Guillotines, or Laments, or BEQUEST, any combination of the sorts, you're still going to one-face Crota, and that's all that really matters. Plus, you know, some people might have GUILLOTINE crafted because it's a seasonal weapon that you just got engrams for, and you open it, and bam, you were done, as opposed to BEQUEST, where you need to be on light, you need to do the raid, you need to farm Tanics to get BEQUEST, and so on. So a lot of people probably have GUILLOTINE over the others, for one reason or another, and it's really helpful to use as well. Just wanted to mention that. It's pretty solid. In conclusion, while I do think BEQUEST is just a smidge better in the perfect scenario for the majority of players rating, no, I say majority, not the top 2%, whatever you want to call it, high-end raiders, feel free to just disagree and use whatever you'd like. If people want to use Lament and say Lament's the best, that's totally fine. I think arguing over semantics on this kind of stuff is really dumb. People can just disagree and use what they like, and you can state your opinion without people having to maul you on the internet. I personally happen to think BEQUEST is a bit better. Other people will think Lament's better. Other people will think Guillotine's better. Other people will think GUILLOTINE is better. Hell, there's some people that think Throne Cleaver is the best sword in the game. You know what? More power to you, man. Anyway, hopefully some of you found my rambling at least slightly informative, or I guess entertaining, possibly. Let me know what you think. What do you prefer to use on Crota? What's your team using these days? Which sword do you like? I feel like this is like a Twilight debate where people are going to be like, do you like the wolf guy or the vampire guy? Or I guess Apex Predator and Cold Comfort would be a better example instead of using Twilight, but you know what? It was said. Too late. Can't take it back now. Anyway, leave a comment, leave a like, sub today, help the channel to grow. Much appreciated. Beat the algorithm, all that sellout nonsense. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Bye.